I'm in Max.
You are listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast.
I'm in Max.
Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Oh.
Why, hello. I got a mic on. Hi. And welcome to season 24, episode 1 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
I'm a Bria.
And I'm Tappy.
Yay!
In a fine chapeau.
Yes.
In this episode, Brian writes in, Brian is from my old gaming group from college. Brian writes in about the passage of time. Yuho? Yuho? Or Juho?
What are you calling me? I'm sorry,
Yuho?
what?
How do you pronounce that?
It is International
right here.
Women's Day.
There's
What
a-
are you
There's
doing?
a word right there. How do you pronounce it? Yuho?
It's a
How do you
name
put-
from Finland. Juho.
I'm going to say Yuho.
Yeah, probably.
From
Every
Finland.
time
oh,
you
well,
call me
because
that.
Jutland.
Oh, yeah. Writes in about people getting rules totally wrong. And Dave in Tampa sends us a horror story.
What's up, Tampa?
If you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We're on the social medias.
Yep.
We're on the Twitter,
Yeah.
happyjacksrpg, all one word. We're also on the Instagram, happyjacksrpg, all one word. We're on Facebag, happyjacksrpg, all one word. And MeWe, happyjacksrpg, all one word. And you can go to our forum, happyjacksforum.com,
Yep.
and join our forum.
It's bumping, man.
When are we joining TikTok?
What's TikTok?
Every time I show up, I proffer a new social media.
Oh,
for you.
If you'd like to watch the show live,
Huh? Isn't there a lot of hate for
Yeah,
TikTok?
no, it's a stupid thing.
Yeah.
It's like Vine with voiceover. It's stupid,
Oh, okay.
but we should be on it.
If you want to watch the show live, we stream the show at 7 p.m.-ish Pacific time on Friday nights.
Yeah.
And you should do that. Now, to let you know, on March 16th of this year, that's next Saturday, the Poxy Boggers and the Merry Wives of Windsor will be in the Britannica Room at the Queen Mary in Long Beach. Tickets are like $25 at the door, but there's discount tickets you can purchase online. Go to queenmary.com for details. Also, I believe on the Happy Jacks page and on the Poxy Boggards page, I posted they're having like a big sale right now. I can't remember how much. It's like $5 off or something. I don't know.
Nice.
Something like that. So you can go there and get your tickets now, and that's running for like 24 hours or
Wait,
something.
how much off?
I don't know. I think it's like $5.
Five?
Five?
5. What?
A bunch of us will be there and drinking, too.
Yes.
There will also
Yes.
be ghosts.
There
There'll
are
be
ghosts.
Ghosts
Yeah.
and dream. Yeah,
That's
there'll
a
be
haunted as fuck boat.
there'll be grinning
Yeah, but-
ghosts.
Right.
Yeah. Bria is guaranteeing ghosts, so.
I guarantee ghosts.
Right.
Well, we're gonna get so drunk we see ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to have
I don't
St.
have to
Patrick-
perform.
That's just me yelling at pale people.
It's going to be strong.
Ice ghost! Ice ghost! Ice ghost.
Samantha's going to be like, Bria, you know me.
The whole time.
Oh man, I'm
Oh,
totally gonna
Matt.
jump out like
I swear
from
I'm not
behind the
dead.
ghost. Ha! It's like ghost!
Yep. Just yell jinkies and drop my glasses and run away.
So what they're doing is they've got 3 rooms in the Queen Mary that they're converting into Irish pubs.
Nice.
So they're calling it the first annual pub stroll.
I love things that have the confidence to be like annual for their first one.
Yeah.
You
It's
can do
impressive.
that.
I like
is,
it.
yeah.
There's some
You gotta-
BDE
yeah.
on that.
Well, it is the first annual.
Yeah.
It's
No,
the
I
first
know.
year
Could be
we
the
do
last
it.
And hopefully
annual.
it goes well and we don't screw up,
Yeah.
and then it'll be a second annual.
Don't mess up. Don't you dare mess up.
So go to queenmary.com for details about that. You can there's a link to get the tickets there.
Yes.
And we'll see you there on next Saturday. I think it opens at 7 and it's and the last song is at midnight. So
I'm literally flying back from Vegas early for this, so be more entertaining than an entire city of drunk idiots.
we'll be entertaining as fuck.
cool.
There will
We
be an
will.
entire city of drunk idiots, like in one room for you.
In a
Dope. That is,
Yes.
I appreciate the
Yes.
density.
Yeah.
Dress
And we'll
up
be,
in
yeah, it'll be like
old-timey
oh,
wear.
man.
Now I was just gonna come in my hoe apparel that I was wearing in Vegas.
Oh, no, you should do that. No, that's good.
Why not both? A bustle and like.
¿Por qué no?
Or no stuff.
The passage of time from Brian.
Wait.
Yes.
It's International Women's Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Our time.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't even look at me. Look away.
Anyway, we just wanted to give a shout out. I specifically wanted to shout out Stu
Yes.
for on International Women's Day. I know it's a little weird, but
Weird flex, but okay.
it's okay. Like 10 years ago, he started this podcast, and he, from the beginning, made sure women were on it, like very
Yes.
specifically.
Nice.
And throughout the years, he's slowly handed over more and more power as I've taken it. from
Or
him.
you took more.
Yeah,
Resting away. She paid the iron
I
price.
did.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's just been amazing to be a part of something that so many women have reached out over the years, saying how much this podcast and like specifically meant to them. Because at the time, we were one of the only ones around that had women, and like regularly representing, which is
Yeah.
a big deal. And like just watching the hobby grow and watching how many podcasts and how many streamers and how many amazing people out there now have like so much amazing representation of women of all types, and it's just awesome. It made my heart really warm today to have lots of things happening. So anyway, thank you. Give shout outs to the women and the people who identify as women that you know, and especially in tabletop, because we all need to hear it.
Yeah, and we've only been around since what? We were invented in 2013, I think.
Yes.
Women in tabletop.
Oh.
We did not exist before. So.
I thought you meant just women in general on the internet. I was like, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's still debatable.
Yeah.
We had a very early episode where I had Maui Twin and Aya on,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember that was when we were streaming on, what was that thing called, Mixler?
Yeah.
Well,
Sir
it was
Mixler a lot?
It was audio only.
Yeah, it was just audio.
And there were people in the chat saying, "He's got 3 women on the podcast. Oh my God,
Yeah.
this is unheard of." And that was probably 2010 or 2011.
Yeah, it was big
Yeah.
back in the day. Yeah, and I mean,
and-
we've also gotten hate for it over the years. The subtle emails.
Oh yeah. Oh
of,
yeah.
We should hear more from some of the people.
Or
Oh, my favorite is some of the women on the show. Their voices are high and annoying to listen to.
Yes, Shred!
I got that email.
I don't know what you're talking
I didn't read it
about.
on the air.
My voice is like butter.
oh wait, we're doing those voices. I can do it too.
Ooh,
That's my natural speaking tone.
let's all talk like Maggie Smith.
Oh, I just started watching that show, and she's awesome.
Oh, yes.
I want to be her when I grow
I
up.
want to be the Dowager Countess.
Give me one.
I
If
love
you
it.
haven't watched
Oh my God.
the Good Society stream from OrcCon, you were double fan, like super
So good.
dame.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Amazing.
Also, my first like shout out from Happy Jacks people was like, "Oh, cool! Welcome to the squad." The second one was like, "What up, diversity hire?" I was like, "Hire implies I'm being paid,
Right.
so fuck you." Thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome.
Oh. All right.
All right.
Thank you. Sue.
Passage of time for Brian. Greetings, Happy Jacks.
Hello.
Happy Jacks and Pollux.
Whoa.
I see what he did there.
All right. I guess
At
we
first
just
I
gotta
thought
throw
that was-
some shit around.
Pollux. And I'm like, what?
Those don't exist anymore.
No. You know, my parents, when in the 70s, they got me a book. It was the combination Polish and Italian. You flip it over and it was Italian jokes, and the one side was
Yes.
Polish jokes.
Oh,
Your
man.
parents grew up in the 19th century, though, so I mean,
No, his parents toured the Borscht Belt like every other. It was really good. Yeah.
Let's see. I've noticed in my RPG sessions that tracking time is less of a problem than having way too much happen in a relatively short period of time. For instance, I'll task the party to investigate something. They follow up on the clues, find where to go next, have a big fight, win, and find the next clue about where to go, lather, rinse, repeat.
Good hygiene.
It ends up being that the characters will tear through a whole bunch of plans in several game sessions that turn out to be only a day or two of in-game time. I have a tendency to end sessions on cliffhangers.
What?
Good on ya. And it's rare to get to an easy moment to say, okay, weeks pass and this next thing comes up. It's usually just them moving naturally from one thread to another, making progress. It's that having so much happen over weeks or months of player time, but in such a small amount of character time feels odd. Any advice, Brian Osaka, Chronovore, on the forum.
Woo!
P.S. Almost forgot to include my postscript. P.P.S. I made you say P.P. Brian's
Nailed
sense of
it.
humor has not changed.
I love it. Sweet.
Now, this is very similar to what we had with the Mode of Sin game.
Yeah.
The Mode of Sin game, we would have 4-hour sessions that would last, and we were playing weekly, Were we playing weekly then?
At some point,
I think so.
sometimes.
We did 30 sessions.
Yeah, we did so
and
many.
Now we did skip a year
Yeah, we
at
did.
one point.
Yeah.
But if I go back and look through my OneNote, the first like 18 sessions,
Like all the same day.
it's like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like maybe not even 3 weeks. It's
Yeah.
maybe like a couple of weeks. There were and a night on a couple of occasions would last 2 or 3 sessions.
Yeah, definitely.
So I get what he's saying. Now, my first question is that a problem?
I mean, I think it can feel a little frenetic for the GM. Like, I don't know if you felt that during Modasin, but like, I struggle a little bit with it in the Dragon Heist game because literally 2.5 sessions have taken. Nope, 3 sessions have taken place in a single day, and I'm like, ugh, I need them to like have a little breathing room, and I feel
Right.
like you can pick up on the anxiety even if your party and the people
Yeah.
playing at the table doesn't. Like,
Yeah, like it's kind of weird to have like a year's worth of stuff happen in a week.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. You kind of like lose that feeling of believability.
yeah,
Yeah.
Is what I feel like.
It kind of reminds me of cop shows. Remember Barney Miller? Did any of you ever see Barney Miller? None of
I
you
have-
ever seen Barney Miller.
Yes.
I have heard,
heard of it.
No, I haven't.
You've
I'm
heard
lying.
the bass line.
I'm totally
You've heard
lying.
the bass line.
What's the late bass line?
Do-do-do. No, that's
That's
is that
not
Night
it.
Court? That's Night Court. What is the bass line? I can't remember it. Anyway.
Wait.
Someone's going to type dumb, 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 dumb.
The,
I'll find it.
the
I'll
Space
find
what
it.
is
Cowboy one?
happening?
You will have heard
I
it.
don't- Barney Miller?
Barney Miller.
No, I have no idea.
Barney Miller.
Is that
It
is
had
that Dragnet?
No.
No.
Barney Miller.
I know
It was a
Dragnet.
cop show. It had one set, and that was their office, and there was a cell, like a holding cell, and there was 4 or 5 desks, and the entire show took place in the office. You never saw crimes happen. You never saw people chasing anyone. It was a bunch of police detectives who would leave and then come back and haul in their collar and then throw them in a cell.
budget, though.
It was all about the stuff that happens in between the interesting stuff in a regular cop show.
Oh no!
And it was a sitcom.
Yeah,
That is-
it's kind of like Friends.
that is why I have not heard of that.
It was fantastic show.
It's like the donut shortage.
Fantastic show.
The Great Donut Shortage.
Right. Well, they had episodes about the coffee because the Jack Wu, I don't remember his character's name, but he was the one who always made the coffee, and all of them were kind of old.
I genuinely believe this is actually a very good show.
It is. It
Getting
is
bought in the more you talk.
freaking
I'm like,
fantastic.
Barney Miller.
It's called Barney Miller. I don't even know if it's on anything that you can watch it.
Wow.
Shout me out. Where can I find
Yeah.
like the microfiche?
I bet it's
Of
somewhere
these-
on YouTube.
this
But
show.
Everything.
basically, it's the show that is all of the downtime you never see in most cop shows, and that's all it was. So, and I wonder if maybe you can, if the game is running so frenetically, I pretty much think it's the GM, because the GM has a lot of power when setting pace,
Yeah.
and you can say, okay, over the rest of the day, nothing happens. So next morning, right?
Or you could also say, oh, this thing you're doing takes the rest of the day. Because
There you go.
I know shit takes way longer than I think it's going to all the goddamn time.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why, what is it called? When you have like a set number of successes, you need to get like 20 or 25 successes and you keep rolling. What's that called?
D&D. What is it? What was it?
Oh, the thing I don't allow? I don't know.
No, it's not a D&D. It's
talking like-
something they did in like World of Darkness.
Is it
but
complex action or something like that?
Some shit
I
like
thought
that, or
4th edition
continuous or
D&D had
something.
something like that.
But it's like, so you are probably going to do this thing unless you get like a
Too many failures before you get
yeah,
an
or a
success.
dramatic failure, right? And so you just each roll is a day,
Right.
and so if you get 3, then you have 17 left, and just how many days is it going to take is basically you're trying to figure out, so that other stuff can happen in between, or you just pass the time.
See,
And
I-
it feels like a fair way to
Extended
adjudicate
tests.
that. Yeah, it's probably something like that. Yeah,
something
an
like
extended
that,
test.
yeah. I think for Vampire, there's always a ticking clock
Yeah.
because you can only go out at night, and when sunrise comes, you don't want to be outside.
Yeah.
So you have a limited amount of time. So I think in that game, because of the conceit of the setting, there is a level of urgency that doesn't have to exist in most games. And I wonder if he's putting a time constraint on what they're doing or setting some sort of deadline that's causing the players to act in that way. Because I've never
Yeah.
had a game that's run that way before, where it's like 5 sessions have gone by and it's been 2 days.
I would like to proffer that perhaps our good friend Brian suffers from the Zack Snyder school of DMing, which is just set piece to fucking set piece. Where if you are super excited about, like, I've got this dope ass encounter, yeah, come at me. Do not yell at Kimmy. I've got more free time than her. I can take it. I'm not worried. If you have like a big exciting encounter that you built for, and you know that there's cool shit down the pipeline, maybe you are actually like enforcing that pace of like, let's get to the next cool thing that I built for. Like, perhaps it would behoove you. This feels weird and condescending. Like, when next time you're sitting to plan.
It is, but
Well,
That's really good advice.
as long as I'm going to just wear that hat while I'm here being condescending. Next time you like get into your planning, think of like a plot point for each one of your players and something that like they need to like. At some point, you've thought about like their arcs. Start putting in things that like take time that they need to resolve, and now you're going to have like the players jumping in and saying like, okay, before we get to the next thing, I need to like go find my son or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they're lost in the woods. We should do that. And have them start to inject their own plot points and priorities. So it's not just like exciting set piece that is probably pretty stupid looking and too much CG. To next thing that's exactly
That's
like
every
that.
superhero movie. Too much CG.
Well,
How many of
All of them.
That's
Too much CG.
I'm
I
looking at
will,
it.
I will
Why
say
is it
that
too
Captain Marvel's not too much because seeing young Samuel L. Jackson is my new favorite thing in the
Young
whole.
Samuel Jackson.
He's so good and shiny. It's
spoilers.
Like they stole him. Everyone knows it takes place in the 90s.
There's a Blockbuster video in the
I
ad.
know it's super.
They were
dope.
like, it's the 90s!
But it
That's
looks
how you
like
know.
they robbed
Yeah.
his beautiful butt
Doesn't
from
it make
like
you feel old
Coming
now the
to
90s
America.
is nostalgic?
yeah,
Isn't it?
That's
It's
very
weird when stuff that's nostalgic is stuff you remember.
yeah. Like really remember, not like
Right.
oh I was 4,
Right.
but
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Did we do an oopsie?
No.
Oh,
I was right.
I've never nope.
That's the Barney Miller theme song.
All right.
I was right. That
it
was the right
sounds like
baseline.
fucking music, but like not that interesting. Like fighting for bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
But it turned all the episodes are on YouTube.
Oh, sweet.
Okay.
I want to say that Brie is absolutely right.
Thank you. Happy International Women's Day.
Get out of the way of your players.
Yeah.
100%.
I get hyped too. Like it happens.
And there's other things.
Once
you
again,
did-
see Dragon Knights.
you had so many fights. You know what? You need to take your sword somewhere to have it sharpened.
Yeah.
So
No one likes shopping and minutia more than Stu, so
Oh,
if he's saying it,
No.
you got fucking listen.
but okay, we're gonna go drop our swords off at the blacksmith so
Yeah.
he can do whatever he's gonna do to them,
Yeah.
and then we have like a few hours to kill while he's working on it. That gives you character exposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the sword was stolen, and you have a whole new thing.
Yay!
Yay! We're never gonna get to the dragon.
And of course they can't kill the blacksmith because they think he stole them because they don't have any swords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good suggestions. That's
There you go.
good thought.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think we answered that.
Oh yeah, we crushed it.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're welcome,
Thank you,
Carnivore.
thank you, Brian, for the email.
Yeah.
And next time you're in Southern California, you need to like come in.
Oh, bring fucking
that's
snacks.
cool.
And you can tell all the
Princess,
stories
yeah.
about my shitty GMing back then that I don't remember because I'm sure there's a lot of them.
Nice. Is he in like Osaka, Japan?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Robatayaki, please.
All right. Getting it totally wrong from Juho in Finland.
I'll
Who
read
would
this
like
one,
to
I
read?
guess.
Okay.
All you.
Hi, you all. Lately, I have found myself discussing, arguing, about my favorite game system in some forums. There have been newbies asking advice and overall academic discussion about the game system. Now, I have spent more time there than... as I've spent more time there, I've noticed that some of the usual participants seem to give some weird comments every now and then. After reading these comments for some time now, others have clearly also spotted this and finally addressed politely the weird comments about them. And the more I have read his answers and opinions, the more I think I know what is the matter. He has got the game system totally wrong.
Oh, shit.
He is running the system as a task resolution system while it is meant to be a contest and its goal a resolution system.
Something's wrong on the internet? Kel Surprise!
Everybody's right on the internet if you ask them.
Quick, pit hunt man!
Yeah.
Go!
He has been rolling single rolls instead of opposing rolls, which skews the probabilities in so many ways. He even admitted to not reading the latest version of the system, and as such is basing the guidance of skipping a very good mechanic in the first version. Yeah, and this mechanic is much better in the later version, but he just didn't feel like he would get to know it. I don't want to start converting and correcting anyone, especially if they're having fun with their group and the way they are doing it. That is your and your group's discussion. In the forums, we can override his opinions with better advice, especially as we now know the reasons behind his posts. Where this comes in as a problem is at con games. You think that you're going to play a certain system, and at some point you notice the GM has quite got it blatantly wrong, and you force yourself rolling for every, and you find yourself rolling for every sword hit and making perception checks all the time. In that moment, you wouldn't want to start rules lawyering or explaining why the GM is off. The game needs to advance, and this kind of misunderstanding does not fix in that time period.
No.
Have you had these kind of situations, finding yourself at the table with the GM doing their own variation of game that you thought you'd be playing? How did it go? Should you say something to the GM, like after the game? Or just leave them to be in their own interpretation of the rules and memorize yourself with the name of the GM so that you never make that same mistake again. Cheers, and thank you, and consume some of your selected beverage. Juho in Finland.
Hey.
I'm gonna
Yay.
need a drink for this one.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
I
man.
feel like I'm mad at Yuho for not naming names.
Yes.
Like, how dare you show restraint?
And he even showed enough restraint to not even say explicitly what the
Yeah,
system
not
is.
the system
And the
not who it
forums.
was.
We can't
Fuck
go
you.
Or even the
persona.
con, which con it was.
Rude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I want more shade for this, and for that, I'm a little disappointed.
And the fans.
Yeah. I need more fans. I need
Yes.
like 400% more fans.
Where
Yeah.
are they?
They're under
Oh, there they
I think
Fuck.
I don't know, I feel a little attacked too because I don't always get the rules right.
That's not true. It's International Women's Day. You
I
cannot
get
be wrong
everything
today.
right.
These are louder than fuck, so keep them away from the mics.
Okay.
I don't want this one. I want the shade one.
The shade one's in there somewhere.
Oh, 50-50. I've got mess.
These are inappropriate for the shade we're being thrown.
You have Bye Felicia. That's pretty good.
I'm not dismissing anyone. I want to know more. Come, Felicia. Tell me your tale.
Mine is meh. It's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Stu's fan.
I'm holding mine.
I have an old man story.
Okay. Well, okay. I think that first,
go away.
I think just real quick.
International Women's Day. Yeah.
Hey, that's fine.
I think there's two things here. Like,
Just this one day.
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
I'm a
sure,
worker.
Stu. Tell yourself that.
Yeah. Then there's second International Women's Day.
Hey,
Every other day.
I accidentally skipped all of Black History Month. I could have been like, I banked those 4 podcasts. I'll use them
International
later.
Women's Lunch.
Yes.
International
brunch.
Women's Supper.
It's
Yes.
a fucking
Total
brunch.
brunch.
And second breakfast.
Yeah.
11 Z.
We are
100 fucking percent.
we are mimosa hobbits.
Yes.
And
Right.
that feels fine. Continue.
Oh my god, that'd be an awesome like motorcycle gang jacket.
Mimosa
Mimosa
Hobbits.
Hobbits.
Yes. Yes, it would.
Yes.
Anyway, I think there's a difference between someone who's like homebrewed a system a little bit and made it their own in some ways, and someone who just is like, I never bothered to read the thing.
Yeah, that's pretty janky.
I don't know. Like, to me, that's very different.
That one's actually a weapon.
Yeah, it's the metal
I'll
shade
do it
fan.
slowly.
Oh,
Jade. So I think
it's
I
what
don't
are the Iron
mind,
Fans called?
especially at cons.
Yeah.
At cons, when someone like says they're running a system, like it's polite and nice to put in the notes like slightly homebrewed version of D&D or whatever it is. So when people are signing up for that game, because I've signed up for games a couple times where I was like wanting to learn a system.
Right.
So if you sign up and then you get there and like, I'm running this totally different than the system actually runs, and then I'm like, great, am I going to be the dick who walks away from the table now because I don't want to learn a different version? I want to learn the version that's supposed to be written. Or, you know, maybe you'll probably still have fun, but I don't know. Those are some thoughts to start.
Yeah. And it feels real janky to like you can misinterpret rules however you want at home, but if you're gonna walk out of your fucking door and do it in public, allow for the idea that like if they don't know, yeah, maybe like leave them a note if you don't want to like have that face-to-face interaction with the GM. Like also feel free to fucking leave the table. I cannot overestimate how much like your time is precious. We're all gonna die someday, and don't waste time in a shitty game. Like,
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
It's later than you think.
yeah. Now it's like super depressing. Happy International Women's Day.
So,
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sad about this. I
Yeah.
don't like this story.
Yeah.
I personally think it is okay to run the game you want to run.
Totally.
And so if that involves like saying this thing is fucking stupid, I want to change it, I think that you're perfectly within your rights to do so. I think other people are perfectly within their rights to say, well, fuck that. I think
Yeah.
you're stupid.
Right.
Um,
Do you think it's okay for him to, when people ask advice on running that system, though, for him to give his interpretation of the rules without the caveat that he's changed them up?
I think it's obvious that he's just wrong on them, that he didn't intentionally change them up.
It sounds that way.
now,
It sounds like he
I-
just didn't read.
I think this might be fate.
Oh, okay.
Reading it, because I hate it when there's a defense roll and I like mess with it for a while to see if I could figure out the same probability, just one person rolling the dice.
Right.
You can just roll 8 of them, but then you're rolling 8 dice each time. It's fucking stupid. So really, and also like getting to roll dice when you're a player, even in defense, feels good.
Yeah.
So you'd have to do a lot of stuff differently in order to do that. But if you just did it as, just do a target number and roll your 4 dice, that really changed the spread of things. And if people are asking for advice for it online, that is very different.
Oh, sure.
And the game is not built, the numbers are not built for that probability spread.
Right.
So I think that's what he's talking about. When it says a mechanic, there are tons of like weird ass mechanics in Fate.
Yeah.
Like where it's like description as mechanic. So it could be like something changed from Fate Accelerated to Fate Core or something like that.
I'm pretty sure
Fucking
this is
remember.
demigods. It's fine.
I've had a few times, maybe many times, where I've been at a table where somebody did mechanic wrong.
What?
And it's very frustrating for me, especially if like the thing that's happening is significant for my character. Like I can't do the thing that like I want my character to do all of a sudden because of a different interpretation of the rules. What I will often do is just try and correct.
Jason's in the chat room.
Yeah, that was the way to make it, Jason.
But see,
Sorry, buddy.
But see, that was a different thing.
No,
See,
no, for sure.
Yeah.
It is definitely not the only time that this happens to people a lot, and Tappy just happens to be really great with rules, so he notices more often than a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it allows me
Yeah.
to break them more when people don't notice. Because my alignment is chaotic.
High five. Yes,
Yeah.
it is accurate.
But yeah, if something happens like one thing that happens sometimes in the Vault A18 game is people take damage and there's a harm roll.
Yeah.
They're like, are we using the harm rules? Is one thing that I said the first game, and yes, we are. And then we use harm rules, and that was fine. In other games, I said, doesn't it work this way? And if sometimes they agree and then just do it the other way anyway because they don't really get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or they say no,
This is your fan now.
then I just ignore it.
Yes.
It's like, well, this is not how the game is played anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if I am going to
International Women's Day.
We get the shade
so if I am going to continue to play this game, either I get up at the table and leave,
Yeah.
or I understand that this is the way the GM is running it.
Yeah.
And if I don't like it, I can fuck off.
Rather
It
cool
still
with it or
behooves
not.
you to like be able to say something at the end. Like if
Yeah.
you've decided to buy in and stay, like I think you have earned the right of like the goodwill that you've engendered to say something at the end. Like,
And-
oh hey, was this like a homebrew thing, or like did you read the thing wrong? Are you dumb? Can I help you?
You want me to sound out the big words?
Yeah,
You know what
like
you should
let's read
do?
it together, and it'll be like the miracle worker, like water.
I highly suggest you just take the last 30 seconds of the podcast of Abria asking those questions.
That went over a
And
lot of
just-
people's heads.
Yeah. Just say, "Are you done?" Like Abria saying,
Yeah.
Did you read this wrong?
Yeah.
Are you done? Just take that recording and just,
Just
play
play it.
that.
Do you
at
want
the
it
end.
another time? I'll give it to you another way. Clear audio. Are you dumb? Do you need help? At me, at Quiddy.
I have said something after a game or even further into the game thing, and sometimes it just goes to, you know what? I'm not having fun. This isn't what I signed up for.
right.
I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And you're totally within your rights to do that. It's your time. You're at a con. You paid to get in, and your time has value there.
Yeah.
You have a limited amount of time, and you got to do it.
Or even if it's like a home game or something.
Right.
If it's like the 4th game in, and it's like, man, this sucks. Like, this thing is happening in a way that really, like, makes this less fun for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. It's been swell, but swelling's gone down.
Yeah.
That's very
Oh
good.
my.
In the dawn of time, before there was an internet,
What?
I went to my first game convention.
It's a long, long ago.
It was in like 78 or 79.
So the dinosaur.
Surely not.
And it was actually a Strategicon convention. It was Orcon.
When it was in Long Beach, right?
It was in Orange.
Oh, sorry, Long Beach didn't exist then. It wasn't
No,
invented.
it was at the Anaheim Sheraton Hotel.
Oh.
That was when it was all tar pits.
Did their bar open before 3 p.m.?
I don't know. I was in high school. No, I was in junior high school. I was in junior high school.
There wasn't drinking yet.
We love these dudes.
He was still bald.
You went to cons to learn how to play games right.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Makes sense.
right.
Because you're in isolation. Every gaming group is its own little bubble because there's no way to communicate with anyone else.
No nerd is known.
Unless you go to a game store and talk to people there, or you go into a game convention. And I ran Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition, and I never owned the player's handbook.
Ha!
Now ask me how I was running that game.
The big dick
without
energy that I know
the
and love.
actual rules for the game, which are in the player's handbook, not the DM guide. I had the DMG, and I thought, well, I'll just get the DMG because I'm going to DM. So I was running the game without any actual rules. What I had was the Red Box Basic Edition,
Yeah.
and I was just using those.
Okay.
That's amazing.
I was running them horribly wrong, and
That's
that's
fine.
you would show up at a con, and that's where you would find out that you were running the rules wrong. 'Cause someone
I
would
like
say,
that public is where you find out you did it bad.
right? Yes,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
respect.
and that's the only way you could find out. That's also the only way you could find out different ways of playing. Like
Yeah.
Right.
we always ran dungeon crawls. These people are actually going into towns and talking to people. Holy shit! Epiphany! Whoa!
Madness.
Who talks?
Right.
To be fair though, that's also one thing that was rad about having a game store that I hung out with my friends and gamed there is they also had other people that they game with, and so there's a lot more people than you would have in like say a 4-person home game.
Right. Yeah. And that so the going to cons and playing games wrong. Well, a lot of people did that. A lot of people did. Almost everyone would get something wrong, especially with Gygaxian. You're trying to translate into English. It gets a little tough. But yeah, this rings very true with me. When you go to a con, you start playing a game, and it's like, oh, I've been doing that entirely wrong the entire time. Okay, I maybe should go buy a player's handbook and read it.
My last bit of feedback that will actually be sincere is I think the phrase, can I offer some feedback, at the end of a game is the exact way to go here.
Yeah.
Hear, hear.
Like, yes, you've shown enough, like, in your questioning at the end of the email that, like, it might be a little awkward. Like, you can always offer to, like, provide intel, but some GMs are just like, no, this is how I run the game, and, like, I'm not even considering it homebrew. Like, I'm running it right, and they just want to live in their own wrongness, and, like, that's on them. And that's when you do what you said, is just memorize their name and curve the hell out of them for forever.
Absolutely.
And it's very handy to show up if you're going to play in a con game. Show up completely empty-handed. Borrow the dice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the restroom.
And if you don't end up using Abria's like awesome quote, just make it a ringtone. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yes.
It
There
doesn't
you go.
have to
Yeah.
be used against somebody.
The game that I ran this last con, I had like 3 of my players knew each other, but one of them stopped and said, "Can I give you some feedback?" And it was really helpful. Also because this is the one person at the table who had played the game in Japan back in like 2000 when it was made. But so I got a lot of great feedback from him and a lot of like, hey, maybe you shouldn't take the extra people next time. I think I mentioned that before.
Right.
But it was super, 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 super useful for me. And so, good or bad, if it's really good and you want to tell your GM what was good, go for it. Because when somebody does that and kind of like gushes at you, you're like, I'm feeling really good. I'm gonna go get smashed.
Or they can say, this was cool, but then there was this one thing that I didn't really like very much, and it's like you just got a constructive criticism about it. If you take that to heart, it might make you a better GM.
Yeah. Criticism sandwich, y'all.
Master Vidar said, let's be fair, in the old days, the rules left something to be desired for completeness and clarity.
That is true, but I think that actually has something to do with the fact that, like, if you were playing a system where you knew you were going to, like, your group was an island and you were deciding on your own rules, like, intentional, obfuscation of, like, exactly how to do it is actually, like, a boon to the group to say, like, you'll figure it out. Don't worry about it too much. But, like, now in the age of, like, I can tweet at fucking Mike Merles when I have a question.
Right.
He'll respond to me. Like, yeah, we need clear rules so we're all operating on the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I can see why you hate how Apocalypse Stew, when I say you, hates how Apocalypse World is written. Because it is not clear.
No.
It is written in a very, like, specific
Stylized.
voice and stylized. I love it, because that's how my brain operates, is almost exactly like that.
When it comes to the rules for fluff, go for it. Go as crazy as you want. But for the actual rules, I want a fucking technical manual.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, like, figure some shit out.
I want a reference document where I can, like, this is the one rule I need.
There are footnotes.
See, like,
Under paragraph 3.5.6.
Yes, I like that.
and I feel like the flavor of it gives me like the angle on the rules that I should have in order to use them properly. When they are, especially in Apocalypse World, very vague.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of slant with how it's all being said, it makes it more clear on the kind of feeling you should have in the game. I think it was very vague, like it is, and technical. It would be a lot more confusing and sort of like, what do you want me to really, when you figure some stuff out? Like, what is the stuff? How figure? Rather than, you'll figure that shit out.
But isn't Apocalypse World, like, the thing that made Powered by the Apocalypse?
Yes.
Like, yeah, this is once again, like, the gray area allows you to build whatever the fuck game you want.
Right.
Which is why there are 900 PBTA games. So, like,
But
I'm just saying I
And
proved
counting.
myself right.
Yes.
Well, and there is a space for in games not like that. I think technical writing is very important, so you know what the fuck's going
Well,
on.
like the not Chronicles of Darkness, but World of Darkness. That original book, lots of fluff with lots of stylized writing. But then there was like this 2 or 3 page sections, like here are the game mechanics. All that shit goes aside. Now we're speaking in regular English. Here you go. This is how the dice work. Here are the target numbers. Here's when you add or subtract dice. All very clearly explained. So you could hand those 2 or 3 pages to a player who's never played the game before.
Yeah.
They can read through it. They've got the mechanics.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you have mechanics like, hey, you're going to be a badass. Oh, right, I'm a badass. Done.
Oh my god. The void panic I just felt right now. I died and went to hell hearing that. Because I needed more constraints.
Right? Like, that was super stressful for me the first times I played, like, Apocalypse World or Powered by the Apocalypse. Like, it took, like, Masks was the first one that I really played that I felt, okay, I get this now.
Yeah.
And then from there, like, Demigods, and now it all clicks, and I can play pretty much any PBTA game and really get it. But it took that first, like, Masks because it was something I was so familiar with. So when it asked me to do stuff, I was like, oh, I know comic books. Like, oh man, do I know superheroes shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was able to, like, step in and click in right away. But, like, this is the first one that I felt like I could get it because even though it didn't have a manual like Stu's talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Apocalypse World really resonated with me at the time because I was living in my post-apocalyptic, like, armed artist commune.
Right.
It
And
would be
so
like
I was
if-
like, oh, this makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. It's like if I played the Teach 4th grade, like, RPG. All right, we're going to roll for the spelling test, guys. Okay, good job. Like, that would be my home.
Like if I played Demigods.
There is that thing called,
So
what's
I'm
it
a
called?
demigod.
Simple World, which is like an
Yes.
8 or 12 page document, which is kind of like a PBTA construction set.
Yeah.
That kind of gives you the basics of the mechanics. So
Yeah.
there is that exists, although that I don't think Vince Baker wrote.
I really feel like the writing of it when it is that kind of vague or up to interpretation is super important. Like Demigods does that really well, where like the words that Jason chooses or how he names things give you that evocative feeling of what it's kind of supposed to do.
Right.
The fucking poem for the goddamn muse is, like,
Yeah.
stupid good.
Right?
Yeah.
Polyarmory is a very good name of a thing.
Good job,
Yeah.
Tappy.
Polyarmory.
Fuck, that got me. That was so
Yeah,
good.
ton of
I'm playing the
weapons.
warrior right now. Shit. Love it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Good
All
point.
Polyarmory.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
drink. Woohoo!
I don't have a drink.
What?
I'm out.
Oh, there's a jar over there. You want one?
No.
Oh wait, you have a cup.
It's gonna be so thirsty.
a bunch of whiskeys and a
It's
tequila.
all out of I'm wearing such loud clothing I can't reach. I'm just gonna sit here and be thirsty.
That's what Tappy's for.
What's
Yeah.
that? What's that?
Oh, no.
Does that say? Oh, it's cinnamon. I thought
Yeah.
it was salmon. I'm like, ew, salmon
Ew.
flavored
I
liqueur.
would drink salmon flavored vodka in a fucking second.
Okay,
Oh
I
my
would
God.
drink it because I've never had it.
Sure.
And then I would never have it
What
again.
if it tasted
Probably.
like salmon roe though? That would be dope as hell.
Oh yeah, salmon
That
roe
would be good.
pretty
I think
Yeah.
Have you
yeah,
had-
right.
have you
Yeah,
had
that
Mal-
would be good,
Have
good.
you had Malort?
No, that's the thing you told me about, right? That's like
It's a trap.
It sticks to your tongue for
Yeah.
like 9 hours.
yeah, you gave it to me,
Oh, man.
and my mouth hated it, and I had to keep playing in a game. But
don't
my
think I
mouth
gave
was
it to you.
dying.
You burp it like for
No,
the next
that's
3
not the
days.
candy. There's a
No,
oh,
it's
there's alcohol.
a wormwood liqueur.
No, wormwood's a bad boy.
Yeah.
It tastes like hate.
I disagree, but that one tastes like
I
hate.
am not a like tragic bohemian, and therefore cannot drink absinthe and
Well, it
die of a wasting disease.
It turns out I am.
Yeah, in that hat, damn straight you
Damn
are.
Skippy.
This is my surprise face.
Okay, thank you,
I should make
Yuho
absinthe.
from Finland,
Yes.
for the email.
On
And
International Women's Day.
Finland representing. Awesome.
Finland?
We don't get a lot of emails from Finland.
I want to go there.
I quite want to be. It's a place where you quite want to be.
A place
I
where
feel like you're
quite
making a
want to
reference,
be.
and I don't get it.
Only
Money
for
Python.
We should
no
do a-
camping or just watching TV.
We should do a,
Damn.
Finland, Finland.
I've
It's
watched
the
Monty Python and I
country for
missed it.
Me.
You're
Must have
so
blacked
near
out.
to Russia, so far
at some
from
point, we should
Japan.
do a Happy Jack
Nerds.
World
Quite
Tour
a long way from Cairo.
where we
Can we
go
do
to
that?
different places and like have a meetup, like in all these different places,
Please.
and then we can write off the trip on our taxes.
Sure.
Yeah, there we go.
We go by train so we can play on the train.
Yes.
Actually,
I don't know
would
if there's
play
a
that.
train to Finland.
I'm sure there's trains somewhere in Finland.
Wait, isn't Finland the one that doesn't exist
What?
according
no.
to the subreddit? Oh, God.
What?
What?
No, there was a whole war in 1940 about that.
No,
Yuho,
no.
we're really sorry. We'd like to apologize for the fact that
Well,
your
no.
country doesn't
And,
There's a
and
exist.
in
very-
1918
There's
about
a
that. That's
very
when
good
Finland first.
conspiracy about Finland not being real. That it's like Russian propaganda. No, it's so good. You guys go to the subreddit. It's fucking fantastic. I'll show you guys off camera.
Did I just hear you say a very good conspiracy?
On
Yeah.
Reddit.
It's good 'cause
On
it's
Reddit?
delicious.
Oh, because people believe this
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Have
okay.
you watched the Flat
Yeah.
Earth documentary on Netflix?
So
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm
only halfway through it.
I
No
haven't
spoilers.
watched it because it will make me want to
It
hurt things.
won't.
2-minute bursts,
It-
and
the-
then I just walk away
The
and then come
editing
back.
on it is like I want to go hug the person who edited
yeah.
it.
Oh, so it's funny.
Oh,
It's amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They are dead
Like-
ass serious, and then they're like, cut to the
Yeah.
person going, this is why this is wrong. Cut back to like, I'm gonna hit fucking a ping pong ball with a couple of sledgehammers because my brain coach told me to.
right! That guy's awesome!
So good.
My brain coach.
Fuck.
I want
Oh,
a
man.
brain coach.
I want to be a brain coach.
My favorite is all the experiments they do throughout the film
I can give you a
to
certification
prove that
for
the Earth is flat, and every single one of them fails and like refutes the premise that the Earth is flat.
Right.
Like there's multiple experiments in the film, and it's amazing. Every single one they come up with like some bullshit excuse why the science is wrong, even though they just did it, and you're like, no, we must have. It's the magic from the sky, and you're just like, oh god,
Yep.
you think that? Oh,
Oh.
please stay in school, people. Please stay in school. Oh man. Okay.
Oh, and like the fact that no planes go from South America to North America because I don't know.
And the
It's
next shot is
crazy.
this woman like with the screen with like all the planes flying down there. You're like, she's like, I don't know.
Because they have their own map. I actually have a T-shirt with that map on it. It says "Stay woke" at the top, and it has the flat Earth
Oh, so
map.
it has like the ice wall at the bottom.
Well, yeah,
kind
well,
of
it's
thing,
circular.
or
It's
it's circular. Yeah.
Circular
Yeah, and it has-
Antarctica is a flat circle.
It has
like
the whole
time.
globe kind of splayed out
And there's a dome over us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
Yeah.
with a clockwork sun. That,
And Finland isn't real.
Oh, it is a subreddit.
Yeah, it's a whole
Finland
subreddit.
isn't real.
I
Wow.
believe in you, Finland.
It's so good.
I believe in you.
Just like
It's so
Pluto.
good.
I teach American kids that you exist.
It's-
I'm just telling you.
Chef's kiss.
Oh man. Stay
All
in
right.
school, kids. Stay in school.
Yet another horror story from Dave in Tampa.
Yeah.
Who would like to read?
Hey, I want it.
Florida man.
It's International Women's Day. I gotta keep saying
Take a
it.
drink.
If I stop saying it, it will stop being the day. Dear Stu and the Jack's crew, we all love hearing the listener horror stories.
Yes.
I've already contributed a couple. Unfortunately, I find myself able to contribute yet another.
Yay!
I say unfortunately because in order to give you a horror story, I must live through this shit.
And we appreciate your sacrifice.
Yeah, you're braver than the Marines.
Thank you for your courage.
Writing these emails to you folks is a way of getting some of that lost time back in a positive way.
You're-
For our pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. If it's okay, I'd like to play a little game.
Okay.
Stu now has the 7 deadly sins of game mastering. I was hoping that the Jax crew could tell me how many deadly sins this GM committed. All right, your job. You're going to bring them up. Your job. You're going to
Count
ding them
them?
off as you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hold them up for the crowd.
Oh, I wish I had a bell. You go, ding.
No, I want you to be like a ring girl and like hold up a
Well,
little sign.
you signal and I'll hit something on the sound.
Ah, dope. Okay.
Haha!
Yes, this
I have a
is good.
shade fan.
All right, I go to a role-playing club every other Friday night. They run it kind of convention style with some ongoing games and some GMs running short 3 to 6 adventure mini campaigns. There was a gentleman, we'll call him Harry, who was, oh god, that's fucking terrifying.
That's really loud.
I like
Yeah.
it. Okay. I like it. Yeah. I'll be like 8.5 feet farther
I'll be quieter with my
and
flip
a little slower so I don't get a rabbit heart attack. Right. Who was running Savage Worlds Explorers Edition 50 Fathoms. That was too many words for the name of a game. I'm not terribly familiar with 50 Fathoms. Neither am I, clearly. But I'm a Savage Worlds fantastic. You said fantastic. You meant fantastic, but I'm going to read what you wrote. I'm full of whiskey.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
See, I'm the nice host who like corrects people
Nope.
and like says it the right way so nobody thinks they did it wrong.
I can hear my brain tripping on this word, so we all are punished on that.
Punish it.
Before the game, I told Harry about the changes being made to the Savage Worlds rule set with the new Adventurers Edition.
Right.
The change in ability checks, the addition of an athletics and thievery skills. This will become important later. Chase rules, etc. Then club announcements were made, and those 2 delicious words were said. Game on. I eagerly rubbed my anxious little hands together and prepared to roll a 4. Harry then handed me a character sheet, and I turned my eyes to it. It was blank. Oh my god!
That's your sound.
I heard it. I heard it.
I hate you.
This is the best day of my life. It's
Oh, this is the best.
International
This is,
Women's Baby Kitten Sneezes Day.
this is the best podcast I've been on in a long time.
Yeah.
This is good.
This is real good.
Not that the other ones are bad. This is just really good.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself, other ones. This is amazing. I asked what was happening, and he explained that we will make characters as we go. If I want a D8 in notice, just take a D8 in notice. If I want an edge, just take an edge. Now, I know what he's doing here. Oh, sorry. Are you going to do Kitten's
I don't know. Kimmy's the judge.
Kimmy,
Is that a...
focus.
Let's continue because I'm not against having
Hold on.
blanks.
Executive, I want a kitten sneeze, please and thank you.
Wait, if you want an edge, does that make you an edgelord?
Yes. Or an edge lady. It's International Women's Day.
Or maybe you just want a nice view.
Ladies can be edgelords.
Would it be an edge lady or an edge dame?
Ooh, Dame Maggie Edge.
A dowager.
That's my
edge
next
dame.
dowager.
Edge dowager.
An edge dowager is definitely my fucking life goal.
Oh man,
I'm just imagining like an old Reaper from Overwatch in a bustle.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's great.
Cool, what the fuck are we reading? Now, I know what he's doing here. There are systems like Fate where this is baked into the system, where you discover your PC as you play.
Right.
However, as I said, that's baked into the system.
Yeah.
That and systems like Fate are based on words, not maths. I added the S.
You're British?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
As freeform as Savage Worlds is, it still has math.
True.
Okay, so that's it. All right.
Yeah, I would say like building a full character in Savage Worlds at the table. Like if you didn't actually have like a plan for how to do it.
You'd have to say, okay, you get a D8
Yeah.
and a D4 and a D6 or whatever,
Yeah.
and you get to pick as you go.
Yeah, or if
As
you
a-
have little cards out and you're like, okay, you get to pick from these, and then you just like puzzle them together. Like I've seen cool stuff like that, and that can be okay with math systems. But he had none of that, so
Wouldn't it suck to be like, oh, I'm gonna take a D8 and notice? Oh no, you ran out of points. Why didn't you fucking say how many
Yeah.
points I had?
Yep.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know that because I wouldn't be making my character right now. Like, the character isn't like slowly coming into existence.
You don't know that. You are all Athenas, bursting forth from your father's brain.
oh, that was good.
Thank you.
Other-
All right.
Other doc says Dow Edger.
I have to go. That was very good. We're done.
Fan drop.
Drop that mic, Doc.
That was.
Damn. Without any further discussion about the PCs, he launched into the game, giving all the confused players a 3-minute primer on the 50 Fathoms world and our current situation. We were looking for cocaine to gain favor with some benefactor that wasn't really described to us.
Oh yeah.
My brain.
What were you
got
doing
too-
in the game?
My brain got too excited by that sentence, and I don't know what it means. So someone explain later.
All right, I'm gonna mark like a 3-minute primer on the 50 Fathoms world and your current situation. Like that's my biggest pet peeve when I go to a con and I sit down at a table and someone's like, "Let me tell you the entire history of this world that you have to know in order to play in it successfully." You're like,
They're doing you.
fuck my life.
Oh, 2 minutes is I think is reasonable, isn't it?
No, that's a reasonable amount of like explaining before a con game. It's not a reasonable expectation for someone to be like, "Hey, here's this gigantic world you're supposed to know everything about for this con game." Like,
Right.
you should have lists. You should have something. And yes, don't spend more than like a few minutes on it. I don't want you to spend 45 minutes explaining the world either.
Yeah.
But just pick something that's super easy to pick up and familiar to people for a fucking con game.
And if you're not, in most
Yeah.
most conventions, when you register a game to run,
Yeah.
it says what experience level do you want?
Yeah.
Put advanced.
Yes.
And then you don't have to worry about it. It's like
Yeah.
you either know the world or you're a stranger in a strange land.
Yeah. Or if it's super fiddly, like, give a handout, because no one remembers everything.
Right.
Like, oh my god.
anything,
Yeah.
handouts.
Harry then sat down and said, "What do you do?" I blinked about 15 times. Yes. I then asked about playable races. He pulled out a stack of printed sheets from the 50 Fathoms PDF and tossed them to me. Yes. I asked about setting rules. He wasn't sure, so he rifled through his stacks of printed sheets and finally found them.
I'm just gonna leave the fan out.
Yeah, just
Like,
leave it out and just walk.
I'm done.
I decided to play an aquatic race that swims well. But then how does the cocaine work in water? You're doing this now.
Is there an aquatic race that drowns?
That would be the best thing ever.
They're just real slow fucking swimmers. We descended from sea snails. Or
We're the jellyfish clan.
we're the sea cucumbers with
The
feet.
banana slug. Banana slugs on aquatic.
Yeah.
Are they?
Sea
Are they
pig.
banana slugs as well?
Sea
I don't
pig.
know.
Sea pig.
Sea cucumber. Those are gross.
Yeah, they're nasty. They nasty.
They're
Half
a,
the,
they're a sessile anus.
Yeah. No. It's
That's
a
a good
cloaca.
word.
It's not your normal commonplace anus.
no mere anus. Half of the players played in a session prior, and they were ashore in a city that had caught fire the night before. The fire was the player's fault, as are all fires in all games. I decided my PC is great friends with one of those PCs, so I dove in the water and swam ashore. I began asking the townsfolk about the whereabouts of my friend, but fail a streetwise roll, and I am soon pickpocketed by a street urchin. But not a sea urchin, which I would have that advantage on. That was right off the dome! Yeah!
That was amazing.
Thank you.
You're very funny.
Thank you. I'm full of whiskey. I tell Harry that I want to catch the kid, so he tells me to make an athletics roll. I told him I don't have athletics. He tells me to roll it untrained. I told him there's no athletics roll. He argues with me.
Now, recall, he told him in the new edition that's
Yeah.
coming out,
Yeah,
they've
there
added
is one.
athletics.
Yeah.
Yes.
He heard your information, found it wanting, and ignored it. I then show him the Explorer's Book. That's in the new rules, Harry. Like I told you before, it's not in here. Yeah, it's like that. So much shade. So shady! We will play our game in the shade.
Once again, we shall play our game.
Oh my god. Oh my god, can we have a t-shirt that says that?
I would wear the fuck out of that shirt. I made my agility roll with a raise. I don't know what that means. He then tells me that I failed to catch the kid, but I do see him disappearing into a building. I nod to myself and quickly texted my beautiful wife and asked her to call me in 20 minutes. Oh my god, you're me on dates! I sat quietly until my phone rang, then excused myself. One of the other players, we'll call him Bocephus, looked at me and rolled his eyes. He knew I was not coming back, and he was probably a fucking snitch. I'm not good in situations like that.
That was a brand, not the email.
Yeah. I mean, Dave, we know he was a fucking snitch.
Yeah.
I got you. I'm not good in situations like that. I will eventually say something which will paint me as the villain despite the multiple sins committed by the GM. I found out from Bocephus later that they were able to smuggle the cocaine onto the ship and hide it from the Harbor Patrol. However, unknown to the players, the crew of the ship had also smuggled cocaine on board, and they were all arrested anyway.
What? So,
What?
So they.
There's so much cocaine. It's because you're playing in Florida. Get it. You write what you know.
Yeah.
And the train keeps chewing along. Thanks for your podcast. I'm still listening every week.
Yay!
And if you've stopped because of me, I apologize. I'll see myself out later.
She will not.
I will not. David from Tampa. P.S. I count 4 deadly sins.
Oh man.
Oh, we got a lot
we have
more.
We
a
didn't
Fun
actually categorize them. We just
we
counted
didn't. We just counted.
events of sins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of them may have been the same sin.
There were
Yeah.
70. Yeah.
There were quite a few.
That's
Yeah.
rough.
So, do we think that the GM just didn't prep, and that's why they were making characters? Like,
It's very interesting when we get emails like this. I don't do this on purpose. But you'll notice the email before that was about a guy who was at a game con, and the guy didn't know the rules for the game.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't do that on purpose.
No, you don't-
They show up in clusters.
you don't
like
plan anything. We know.
that. No, I do not.
I think this guy had them do it this way so he could have the skills needed for his rails.
Right.
He put them so hardcore on the rails that when stuff comes up that they have to do, they can do it.
Right.
If you
And
say rails one more time, I'm gonna give you a nudge because that is definitely a cocaine joke.
it is a cocaine
Yeah,
joke.
yeah, I got it. I don't want to explain why, but I have worked in the entertainment industry.
I mean, yeah, he wants to bump them onto the right track.
Ah, yeah. Yes.
No, before they disappear into the bathroom.
I've only used cocaine 3 times in like an 8-hour period.
That's pretty good.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Wow, you have high willpower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a D8.
The next morning, I
You got a
reached.
raise.
The next morning, I reached for it. And I'm like, I'm gonna flush this down the toilet. I'm staying away from this shit.
Yeah. I don't need more energy. That's
No.
a bad choice. Sorry, don't do drugs, y'all.
Yeah,
No.
drugs
So
are bad.
straight edge. She's
I'm
like, I work
so square and
Yeah.
Me too.
nah.
Yeah.
You've done a show on acid.
Yeah.
Or was it mushrooms? Or was it both?
Oh no.
Or on different occasions?
Tappy is pleading the 5th
1, 2,
because
3, 4.
we're not sure.
What I'm hearing is that's okay.
No.
That's what I'm hearing.
The show was a Poxy Boggart show. It was not a.
I did mushrooms once and never again.
Man, they're so great.
Said no, fuck you. I got lost in the cornfield.
Oh, you're talking about mushrooms?
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
You know what? Mushrooms spoil the next day. The next day, you are like washed out, and it's like,
Yeah. I hate it. I hate it.
yeah.
I drink whiskey sometimes.
You precious child of summer.
Yeah.
Winter is coming, and that's also a cocaine joke.
Yeah.
That's we brought it back around.
And they're done.
Yes. There we go.
Happy International Women's Day.
Yay!
All right. End it?
Do
Shade?
you want to end it?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
of course.
I want
I think we're good.
I want to talk some more.
What would you like to say?
I don't know. This is a lot of pressure. No, I've got this. No, put the music back on. I'm gonna say the closing. I don't remember it.
I'll
This
do the
has
done.
been- Huh? What? What is
Now
happening?
you go.
Okay, this is very stressful. Thank you for listening to the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. I'm Abria,
I'm Kimmy.
I'm Stu.
And I'm Tappy.
and I'm pretty sure I did the exit wrong.
You did amazing.
Thanks.
We are definitely not on drugs.
No.
Nope.
I'm
Not yet.
I'm high on my power. Happy International Women's Day.
All right, thank you very much, and we'll see you next Friday. And if the 16th, don't forget, there's
Yes.
a show, Poxy Boggart's Mary Webs Windsor, Britannica Room at the Queen Mary.
Ghosts.
Go there. 7 p.m. is when it opens, and the show's done by midnight.
Happy
Have fun.
International Women's Day.
Yay!
We'll leave with a song.
Woohoo.
And we'll all go together with a wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? Oh, the summertime is coming, and the leaves are sweetly blooming. We'll pluck wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together where the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? I will build my love bower near yonder crystal fountain, and there I shall hang all the flowers of the fountain. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together where the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? If my true love he should leave me, I would surely find another where the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together where the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? Will you go, lassie, go? Will you go, lassie, go?
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
Why problem make when you no problem have, you don't want to make?